The 2020 Minority Health Film Festival offers a diverse variety of films and events that we just wouldn't be able to offer in the in-person cinema experience. But I think what really makes it unique is the focus not only on public health issues, but the issues that really concern communities of color. If you're looking for a reason to engage or to try it out, this is the perfect time. Just go to mkefilm.org/MHFF.
Hello, hello, hello. I am Raelynn Andrews, founder of the Healthy Food Movement, author of the book Alex McGreen and the Tale of the Mysterious Kale, public health ambassador, and food justice advocate. And welcome to the Eat to Live Roundtable, sponsored by Frederick Medical College and hosted by Milwaukee Film as a part of the Minority Health Film Festival. Today, we will be exploring the health benefits of plant-based vegan diets through the lens of several community-based vegan restaurant owners. The conversation is based on the documentary, The Invisible Vegan. I had an opportunity to interview actress and filmmaker Jasmine Levy at last year's film festival, and I'm happy to return to moderate a conversation from a very new lens. Some of our guest speakers this evening is Jade Hendricks, who is a plant-based diet enthusiast, Chef Rain Truth, head chef and owner of The Cultured Vegan. She is mom to 3 vegan babes and founder, curator of the Midwest Vegan Fest. Caroline Carter, certified raw food chef, instructor, and motivational speaker. She is also the co-host of the show Caroline's Raw World and co-authored a book with her daughter, A Mother and Daughter's Diary of Raw Food Recipes for Beginners. We also have Ariel Hawthorne, co-owner of Twisted Plants, one of my favorite places in Cudahy, Wisconsin. So let's welcome our guest. Wonderful. So in starting out, I really want to talk about our plant-based journey. Is everyone here vegan or at least a vegetarian?
Yeah, vegan.
Vegan. So in talking about our plant-based journeys, I feel like food connects all of us in so many ways. And I would have to say that a part of my plant-based journey really started with the Minority Health Film Festival last year. After being able to interview filmmaker Jasmine Levy, I had an opportunity to take her out to dinner. And when she was telling me about her plant-based journey, I was inspired. And back in January, I was connected with a longtime friend who is a lifetime vegetarian and for the last 10 years vegan, Meryl Fury, who's a nurse with the plant-based nutrition movement. And she has a program called Pretty Wild Vegan, 90-Day Journey to Veganism. And so it was working with her that I was introduced to what it meant to be vegan, and specifically a plant-based vegan, which we'll go through in just a moment. So I'm about 9 months in and I feel great. And I don't foresee myself going back anytime soon. And so with that, Jade, do you want to kick it off and maybe talk about your food journey?
Yeah, sure. So I have been plant-based for almost 5 years now. It really started off, it was very unintentional, to be honest, but it started off as a 30-day challenge. At the beginning of the year, we have these New Year's resolutions, and it was, for me, just an opportunity to detox. So I did a 30-day vegetarian challenge. And then I had a coworker at the time who recently became vegan, and she said, well, you should try vegan. And I was like, well, if I can get through 30 days without meat, then I'll try another 30 days vegan. So first 30 days, it was fine. It was great. Second 30 days actually wasn't that bad. It took a little more thought with the food I was preparing and everything like that. But honestly, after 60 days, I didn't have a desire to eat meat. So I was like, I'll just keep this going. And if I want to go back, I will. And I didn't go back at all. So it's been a very interesting journey. Like I said, it was unintentional, but I loved the entire process, the education behind it, the way I feel, like you mentioned, all of the physical results, but also the spiritual and mental results as well. And so it's been a great 5 years so far and still counting. So
Awesome. Chef Rain Truth.
Hey, peace. Hello, hi, how you guys doing? I'm Chef Rain Truth, the owner of The Cultured Vegan. I've been vegan for 34 years now. My children are all vegan. I have a 22-year-old, an 18-year-old, and a 4-year-old. And it's been a beautiful journey, honestly. I decided to start my business when I was in high school as a sophomore. I lived by the military base, Great Lakes Naval Base, and I started doing dinner parties for sailors. And I was doing a vegan even before like the whole vegan movement. I was like noticing I seen a lot of sailors at the mall during the holidays, and I'm just like, why are they still here? I didn't realize that some people didn't have families. So I wanted to do something nice. I started like making food for them. And then I was doing it so much that they actually gave me a room on the base to start doing it there so that they didn't have to leave. Cause I was doing it at the house. And so they would all catch the cabs and stuff to the house, and I'd have the whole spread set up. And then they actually gave me a room on the base to start doing it there. So it was very cool. I didn't know how far I would go with what I'm doing, but it's just been going and going and going. Of course, different stages throughout the 24 years I've been in business, but it's been beautiful.
We need to circle back and talk about your 4-year-old and how you get them to eat their fruits and veggies. So let's circle back to you. But first, let's go on to Caroline Carter.
Hello, everyone. Caroline Carter. My vegan vegetarian journey was not expected. I wasn't even looking for it. So I was almost 300 pounds, suffering from depression, going through a lot of stuff. And medication didn't work, nothing worked. And I started praying and I started meditating. I asked God to heal me here and to heal me here. And God answered immediately, but not the way I wanted it.
It's never that way, right?
Right. And so I wasn't listening. It took me 2 years to finally listen. And because everybody started talking to me about vegetables, and I'm from the South. And so we're talking about ham hocks, collard greens, fried this, gravy that, and so on and so forth. And I'm like, no. But there was a sister from Chicago. Her name was Diana. She started she had a group called Make Mine Raw, I think it was. And for 2 years straight, she had invited me out to Chicago to one of these meetings. I kept saying, nope. And then finally I got tired of saying no because, and I said yes, because I knew that I wasn't going to like it. So I went to say, okay, I'm here. I don't like it, so don't call me. So you don't know what happened. I went there.
Hey, what's that noise?
Huh? There was a diverse group of people. Food, I mean, the aroma was just amazing. Nothing cooked. And I tell you, I tasted this kale, never had kale, never heard of kale. I had this kale, raisin, apple, walnut with some lemon juice, orange juice salad.
Mm-hmm.
That was all she wrote.
How long ago was that, Caroline?
That was about 2003, 2004, somewhere in there.
Okay. So you're coming up on 20 years being a raw vegan.
Raw vegan.
Wow. So let's talk about that more on the cultural and social aspect as we get into the film Invisible Vegan. But next, I want to introduce Ariel Hawthorne, who is the co-founder with her husband, Brandon, of Twisted Plants. Hi, Ariel. How are you?
Hi, I'm good. How are you?
Good. We were just introducing our panelists and we were talking about just our food journey. Like, how did you start off on your path of becoming vegan?
Well, my path to becoming vegan actually started a couple years before I actually went vegan. In 2016, I was diagnosed with lymphoma about a week after giving birth. And for the remainder of that year, I underwent chemotherapy and radiation treatment. And the following year, I decided to go vegetarian after watching some documentaries on Netflix, like What the Health and Cowspiracy and things like that. Those things really inspired me to want to change my diet. So I did that for maybe 10 months. And then in 2018, I went vegan. So it's been about 2 years.
That is awesome. Last year, I had the opportunity to watch the film The Invisible Vegan. And as I shared in the intro, my food story, meeting with Jasmine and hearing her story, watching the film. What the film is about, for those who haven't watched it yet, is it's about a 30-year-old's journey to looking at the historical context of food norms within the African American community and how the social and cultural, the political influences, and really the accessibility of a plant-based diet. And through her journey, it's interwoven with her trying to recruit her closest friends to become vegan by introducing them to foods that didn't look vegan, but was very much vegan. So Caroline, in your intro, when you were talking about everything was raw, but it smells so good and they hooked it up and it was so beautiful. That's exactly what she does in the film. And so today in our conversation, we're going to go through 3 themes that are reflected in the film, which are social and cultural, political, and accessibility. So to kick it off on social and cultural, you know, veganism seems to be the new buzzword, the new trend. And when we talk about veganism, we also know that Oreos and French fries are vegan, right? So can someone tell me the difference or describe the difference between a plant-based vegan and a junk food vegan? Anybody want to jump in?
So I'm going to talk about the raw vegan aspect of it a little bit. And so when I first started, I started off introducing my family to it, my 2 children. And, they really enjoyed the food because so what raw vegan is, for those of you who don't know, it is using fresh fruits, vegetables, nuts, and whole grains, no preservatives, no additives, wheat, gluten, and dairy free. So everything is made, all of the food is made in its natural state, no heat. And coming from the South, that was really, really difficult. I met so many people when I started making collard green roll-ups or collard green smoothies. I had so many people, especially the elders. They were like, "Girl, you know you got to cook those greens. Where are the ham hocks?" You know, and it took, I really had to convince people, just try it. Just try it. And it was harder. It was harder for me to sell it to the adults than the children.
Mm-hmm.
But once they tasted it, once they were exposed, and they were like, and then things began to change and I think open up a little bit. And I think raw is a little bit harder transition than vegetarian. Because you can mimic those dishes without the meat and make it taste good. But when you're taking the time to massage your collard greens and your kale and tenderize them to such a point where they taste like greens, where they taste like greens, it's a little bit harder. So now what I do a little bit of both to win people over, cook some and do the raw as well. So, but I know Rain Truth is really good at the vegan. I've had some of her food cooked and it's absolutely delicious. So she can talk about that aspect of it.
So, Chef Rain Truth, do you want to talk about veganism and what it is and how you serve it up?
Yes, definitely. So I do raw food and cooked food. I do both. I'm classically trained, certified, etc. And I have different clients that require different restrictive diets or special needs. So veganism, basically, for me, I'm the more extreme, I guess, because there are different levels of like veganism, as you said. Plant-based doesn't necessarily mean people are not using leather. It doesn't mean that they, are not buying anything that maybe not consuming animal byproducts, but maybe having a pair of leather earrings or a purse or something like that. So I don't do any leather. I don't do any byproducts. So basically consuming no animal byproducts or products at all. I kind of forgot what you said, just like veganism. I'm sorry.
We were talking about the distinctions between, it seems people have popularized the term veganism. And I think there's a big distinction between a plant-based vegan versus a junk food vegan.
Right. Yes, absolutely. So yes. So like you said, like you mentioned, and that's something I talk about it often is like, yeah, Oreos are vegan. When I have different clients, so say for instance, if I am in the Black community, I can't really, like, my approach is different. So I'm not going to say vegan. I would say plant-based or, no meat, versus if I'm in a non-Black community, I can say vegan, and it's a little bit more received to how, yes.
So say more about it. Why is that?
I've done so many events where there are older elders there. And if I say vegan, it happened to me Saturday, and an elder was walking past and he's seen vegan. He's like, oh, that's that vegan. Oh, no, you're trying to take my meat. And I'm just like, no. So the way I kind of have changed it after doing so many events and seeing what piques people's interest, in the African-American community, diabetes, high blood pressure, obesity are something that we have very, very high numbers. We are very high percentage of those numbers. And so now my approach is more like, this is diabetic friendly. They're like, oh, let me try it. Or this is, and it's the way I've had to do it. It's the way I've had to do it. And they're much more receptive. Or even some of my clients, I'm like, hey, Mr. Johnson's 80 years old. Mr. Johnson been eating fried chicken for 80 years. I can't tell Mr. Johnson, we're not going to eat meat. You know what I'm saying? I have to tell him, hey, let's not fry that chicken this week. Let's grill it. And then, let's remove it for one day. And then, so that's the way that my approach has been with a lot of my clients who are not vegan, but they are considering or interested in just knowing more. And so, but the thing, like you heard, a starchatarian. So starchatarian is a person who may be vegan, but they eat a lot of pasta, rice, bread, potatoes, and things like that. So you really want to like just be gentle with people and set people up for success versus like saying don't just completely eliminate it. In my group, I have a Black and vegan group. I have two actually with about 50,000 Black vegans in it collectively. And that's the big thing is like, just set people up for success, like just ease into it. Some people can go cold turkey, but really, if you're really trying to learn and educate yourself, because a lot of times people think, well, I'm not going to eat meat, I'm vegan, but they don't necessarily say, well, I have to get this vitamin, I have to get these nutrients, I have to get these supplements to kind of replace what I'm not going to have. So.
Got it. So it seems like you have to adapt language so that it's better well received. And you've been paying attention to how people are responding over the last almost 30 years that you've been doing this. Yeah. Ariel, Miss Hawthorne, Miss Twisted Plants. So have you had this same experience? I mean, you're all the way out in Cudahy.
As far as vegan versus plant-based?
How do you talk about it through the lens of plant-based, or do you talk about it through the lens of vegan food?
For the longest, I've used those terms interchangeably. It's only been maybe within the last year that I realized how serious people take it, like vegan versus plant-based. When I first went vegan, I just considered it pretty much the same. But now that I see some people I guess veganism is a little more about like, to me, about animal activism as well as changing your diet. So we consider the food that we serve to be plant-based.
Okay. Jade, so if you're in the last 5 years, what do you gravitate towards? Like when people say this is a vegan restaurant or I'm a vegan, do you ever make the distinction? Okay, are you a plant-based vegan, or what did you call it, chef? A carb vegan? What do you call it? Oh, I can't hear you.
Vegetarian, I think.
Vegetarian, yeah.
Are you using that? What do you think?
Yeah.
I've never heard that. um, I honestly don't know. I think when I first went vegetarian, it was just that. And then I realized that there were all these differences between the junk food and plant-based. And so I naturally navigated toward the plant-based. I'm also like really heavy into fitness and all those things. So realizing that, yeah, you could technically eat the rice and the potatoes and the Oreos and all those things and be considered vegan, but I knew it's not sustainable. It's not a lifestyle that I knew I could, keep for a long period of time. And so finding ways to pretty much replace meat with, plants, other plants. And I think if people can kind of wrap their minds around that, it's a lot easier. Honestly, I feel like in my community, at least the people that I have like talked to or people that share or that, follow my social media, I tend to use plant-based over vegan, but I don't think there's a stigma either way. I have a ton of vegan friends. And I feel like the more we have these conversations, the more people are open to learning about what that really means for them and whether it's more plant-based. Because now I'm also noticing, and I don't know if the rest of you are, is that people are using plant-based, but they still eat meat. So I think it's just a very interesting dynamic of how even these conversations have evolved from this kind of popularization of veganism and then this journey of plant-based and how people are using these terms almost interchangeably, whether they eat meat or don't.
So to that note, when we think about soul food, it was a part of the Black Power movement of the 60s and 70s. And a key part of that is a part of the Black American identity characterized by foods such as cornbread, fried catfish, barbecue ribs, chitlins, neck bones, etc. But when I think about soul food now, I think about foods that really nourish our bodies. I think as we talked about our food journey, a lot of us talked about the alignment of the food that we consume to our spirituality, to just creating balance in our life. What trends are you all seeing in the soul food movement from the plant-based lens?
Well, I'll tell you, and I've even honestly, I won't lie. I've had to check myself because, like I said, I've been vegan for a long time, and we didn't have all the meat, the mock meats. I didn't. Before I didn't have all the mock meats. I didn't have the meat substitutes. So I was really like making things, lentil sausage, and and I know for myself, I've kind of just, because the trends and what people want is the fried chicken or the, the plant-based burgers and things like that. And so for me, really trying to like get back to where I started, like that's been my thing recently, is like really getting back to those fresh salads and that fresh fruit. Because a lot of times if I'm cooking chili cheese dogs for customers all the time, it's kind of what, I'm eating too. Because if I'm making a meal for 500 people, I'm tired. I'm going to eat what I made, you know what I'm saying? But I felt sad because I'm like, this wasn't the reason I started what I was doing. It was more so to introduce people to healthier options and really eating lighter. And, my neighbor, he just passed away today, and he had 2 types of cancer, kidney failure, and I remember trying to tell him, like, you got to eat healthier. And he used to just be like, I love my pork. I love these things. And when I would take him food and stuff like that, and it's just like, we have to make such a big change and know that like we have one life, and some of this stuff may taste good. It may make you full, but I want to be here. I want to be healthy. I want, to be able to run around and play with my kids and things like that. So I'm sorry, didn't mean to go off on a tangent, but
No, I think that's a perfect point. I think the follow-up question is that does plant-based comfort food, which I see on a lot of vegan menus, does plant-based comfort food, is that an entree to healthier lifestyles? Is that the carrot that you use to get people interested in more of a plant-based lifestyle?
I'll say something quickly. I think it depends.
Mhm.
I always feel like that's just an easy answer because to Chef Rain's point, you can buy the faux meats, you have Beyond and you have all these other ones out, but you could also make those comfort foods with vegetables. And that's kind of like the approach that I've taken to prepping my own food. When I first became vegetarian and then moved into veganism, and I'm still like, I'm probably like 90% vegan. That's kind of how I say I'm on the way there, but when you go out to eat, it's kind of hard to like make sure there's not egg and dairy in every single thing. But when I first transitioned into a plant-based diet, I made it a point and was very intentional about making things from plants. And I think I mentioned that before. And so I think you can still have your soul food. My mom makes, greens and our dressing during Thanksgiving. None of it has animal products in it at all. Last Thanksgiving, we made a mac and cheese, and that was more like the store-bought, dairy and all of those things. But at the same time, again, it was vegan. And I think it really depends on how. Now, if you want to go and buy all the sausage and the patties and all those things, it can take away from the health benefits that we proclaim, veganism and plant-based diets to have. I think everything is fine in moderation. That's always my biggest message on my platforms, is that everything, things can be fine in moderation. But if you, pile those things into your diet, you're probably more than likely to have some of the same issues you would if you're constantly eating meat and other things like that.
Thank you for that, Jade. And I agree with you, but I'm thinking from a consumer perspective and a monetary perspective for those restaurant owners. If you sold food that wasn't dressed up like some of the comfort foods people are used to, would your sales be through the roof? Like, would you have people lining up around the corner? Ariel, do you want to speak to that?
Yeah, I think that a lot of the meat substitutes.
Can you turn your volume up, Ariel?
I'm sorry?
Can you turn your volume up a little bit, please?
Can you hear me?
Very faintly.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can.
Okay. I think that a lot of the meat substitutes are helpful in helping people transition to a vegan diet. Personally, a lot of my friends and family were open to trying it just by trying food that we make using meat substitutes. But I do think that they should be eaten in moderation. But they've been very helpful on my journey and those around me as well. We are working on sneaking in more fresh foods like salads and stuff, adding things like that to our menu, just to offer a healthier alternative to just, the plant-based burgers and fries all the time.
So you're going from plant-based fast food or comfort food to now having some of those healthier alternatives that we just spoke about. I'm curious with Chef Caroline Carter to go from eating meat, beef, pork, seafood, all of that, to a raw diet. How do you introduce people into the lifestyle? You're muted. You're muted. Mm-hmm. You're muted.
Oh,
Mm-hmm.
can you hear me now? Okay, beautiful. I just want to echo exactly what Rain Truth said first, and that is I'm getting more into the not so much making it, the comfort food, because when you really think about comfort food, how comforting is it when you eat so much and you feel absolutely miserable? your feet are swelling, high blood pressure, diabetes. What is comforting about it? I mean, so we really have to start thinking about the consequences of that lifestyle. For me, what I now is that when people ask me, I tell them, yes, it's plant-based, and they say, how does it taste? I tell them anyway, taste it for yourself, because what I create is deliciousness, and I'm using fresh fruits, vegetables, nuts, whole grains. What I love about it so much is that how it makes you feel. See, a lot of when and I come from that background where we're talking about 3, 4 different types of cheese and whole milk and I mean banana pudding, absolutely delicious, beautiful. And so one of the things that I know, and I have to get to Ariel, I'm going to have to come to your restaurant. This is the first time I've heard of it, so I'm going to check you out. But there is a way, like my dips, the dips that I make, I'm getting to the point to where I'm realizing that they're more than a dip, because you can use them with your crackers, you can use them with vegetables. They could be a part of your main dish. You incorporate it into your life. Is it challenging? It still is very challenging, because I have a family that when we get together and they want to cook, I mean, they are throwing down, still with the chillings and still with that stuff. And I used to bring my own food, but I stopped doing that. And I pick and choose what it is that I'm going to eat, because I don't want to be the center of the conversation. And I don't want people to think that, there's this stigma of attached to people who I think eat vegan or vegetarian food, that we think we're this or we're that. No, we don't. I just want to feel good. I'm not trying to eat. Go ahead. You were going to say
I was
something.
going to say, so for Thanksgiving or Christmas gatherings, when other people are throwing down, what are you eating when you pick and choose?
So I invited a few. What did I have? I invited a few people over last Thanksgiving. I had a beautiful salad. What else did I have? I had a beautiful salad. Maybe I think I had collard green wraps. What did I have?
Other people brought the collard green wraps without any meat.
Girl, Jade know about them collard green wraps.
Tell me about these collard green wraps. What is this?
Those collard green wraps is you take the collard green leaf. Take the collard green leaf, and I stuff them with red and green cabbage, kale, carrots, raisins, or whatever, coconut. You can use walnuts. Jade is allergic. Is it to walnuts, Jade?
Cashews.
So you can make them with or without nuts. And I make this awesome cilantro pesto, and people absolutely love it. So that's what it is. I tell people, give it a chance. Just take a bite. Again, it's the adults who are, it's harder to sell it to. Children get it. It's the adults.
So you're absolutely right. When you say give it a chance, some people don't stand a chance, because healthy food is so politicized. What they say is healthy, from the food pyramid to my plate, is not really healthy, right?
Exactly.
I mean, when we talk about who creates the food pyramid, who created my plate, it's a bunch of the industry mega manufacturers,
right,
who aren't really interested in your health. There's not a public benefit to a healthier population. It's really, how can we sell more of our products? And so with so much propaganda in the media, how do we cause another healthy food movement where people are reconnected to the source of their food? And so I think there has to be a new push towards another level of food literacy.
I think what it is, though, is that you see so many people now. You see Ariel out there in Cudahy with her restaurant. You got Jade and her mom. They're doing it, and they're exposing their family and their friends. You know, Rain Truth, she's all over the place doing it at this market, that market in Illinois, all over. And then you know, you have me, my daughter, my son, you have people talking about it. And I think that is where, you know, the more we talk about it, the more people, did you try Rain Truth chili? You know, that chili was the bomb. What? What? Give me Rain Truth number. You know what I'm saying? That's what it's, we need to be out there because before I got into it, I really thought that this stuff was white people food.
Mm-hmm.
Black folks don't eat this way. This is white people food.
Mm-hmm.
And no. This is everybody's food.
Mm-hmm. This is our true soul food.
This is our true, thank you. This is our true soul food. But I think more of us need to, like this platform, people need to see us. And that's part of it. They don't see us. The commercials, they don't see us out there. Like this is like, again, this is the first time me hearing about Ariel's restaurant in Cudahy.
Mm-hmm.
And so we need to have more discussions like this. We need to have them looking forward to the Midwest Vegan Fest next year.
Yeah.
I was there the first year. It was absolutely beautiful, absolutely awesome. People love it. The thing of it is that don't like fruit vegetables. And that's
Caroline,
that's a
you
LIE.
Froze.
I'm
Repeat
sorry.
that last stanza. Repeat that last stanza you just froze.
What did I say? What?
It was so good you forgot. Well, I often talk about
Tell me what I said first, because I need to know.
Listen, we don't know because you cut out. You froze.
Oh, no.
But I often talk about eating to live and food as medicine. And this is only virtual because it's we're dealing with a global pandemic. When you do outreach and nutrition education, like Chef Rain Truth, you were talking to your neighbor about really eating to live and the importance to change his diet. What do you think we could do as a community besides platforms like this? How can we each one teach one and bring our family along to? Maybe this is a good time for you to talk about how did you introduce your 20-something and now your 4-year-old to a plant-based lifestyle?
I kind of like just led by example, honestly. That's really my biggest thing is leading by example. And it's funny because, you know, my neighbor, I was taking them food and they were like, what? This cabbage is the best cabbage we ever had, you know? And I hear a lot of times people say, well, if I had you cooking for me all the time, I could be vegan with no problem. But I'm like, you know, that's not realistic. But yeah, I just kind of led by example. And what you said, like incorporating them into making meals, incorporating them into the day-to-day of going shopping. Hey, y'all, let's pick this. Or, you know, I'm a label reader too, so that's something that I taught my daughters. Call me like, and you know, they got a new recipe on this, you know. So it's really, and I have a children's program. I have a culinary program for children ages 4 to 18, and you know, I teach them about like making food. I really try to really push back that love and inspire them to feel proud of something that they created, you know. And yeah, I was at Summerfest one year and one little girl ran to me, Chef Rain, she wanted to show me a wrap she had made and pictures she took. There's a pride that they feel when they're included in making, you know, my 4-year-old loves avocado. Like she can eat about 10 avocados back to back, but it's because I've introduced it. Even if you know, a child says that they don't like something, you just keep introducing it to them and giving it to them in different varieties, maybe whole one day, maybe chopped one day, maybe mixed in a smoothie one day, so that they can get the different variations of it to see, wow, this is something that can have different life forms and I can have it these different ways. But really including children and showing them how to make that stuff, it really helps them. When my children were in school, they had a pizza party. Mama was coming at 12 o'clock with the vegan pizza. You know, if they had ice cream party, mom was coming with ice, you know. So I really went out of my way for my children to make sure that they were included in everything in school. They didn't feel out of pocket. They didn't feel like, you know, it was important to me to make sure that they maintain that lifestyle.
That sounds very similar to what Caroline was just saying, you know, at these family gatherings, that you don't create this separatism, but that you incorporate yourself in it. Now, I know that you and your daughter also co-authored the book, A Mother and Daughter Diary of Raw Recipes for Beginners. Do you want to share just a little bit about that and how you maybe introduce your daughter to a raw lifestyle?
So I'm going to go back a little bit when Nita was she's about 14, 15 years old. And she was tired all the time. And I just thought she was just lazy. I'm like, girl, you just lazy. And she would she would come home from school. And the first thing she would do was take a nap. Then she would wake up, she would eat, and then do her homework. And then eventually I finally took her to the doctor and I said, hey, something is going on because this girl is tired all the time. And so come to find out, she had hyperthyroidism. Her thyroid was overactive. And so she was I was nowhere near vegetarian or vegan at this point. But she's a very smart young lady. And she read the side effects from the medication they wanted her to take. And she read it and she says, Mama, I'm not taking this. I was like, all right, you don't want to take it, you don't have to take it. And so she lived like that for years, 10 years after that, all through high school, college. And that then I think, she was in her master's program, something. And I got into the raw vegan, introduced that to her, right? And she started eating it and we didn't think anything about it. About 6 months later, she went to the hospital to her doctor, and her doctor checked her thyroid and said, "Hey, Shanita, what's up? For the first time in over 10 years, her thyroid was in normal range."
Wow!
Right? It was
food is medicine, huh?
Right, food is medicine, and it was so subtle. It was, like medication, you can tell that you're taking this medication because sometimes it makes you feel drowsy. You might get a headache, dry mouth, or something like that. When you are eating real food in its natural state, it is healing you in such a way you don't even know it's happening. It's gradual. And whereas she used to have to, on her lunch break, she used to go home and take a nap. She stopped doing that, more energy and so on and so forth. And that was it. So it was really easier for her. It was easy for her to do that transition, and really inspired me to say, hey, Mom, let's start giving classes. Let's start giving workshops. And then the book came because people like Rain said, a lot of people wanted me to make the food for them. That wasn't
practical.
No, that just wasn't. And people didn't know what to do. And so it was across the board. Even I found when I was doing the farmers markets, white folks didn't know what to do with the kale. I found a lot of white folks who were getting the CSAs and a lot of money for CSAs, right? And they come to me and I'm making this kale salad and they're like, I've been giving my kale to my friend's daughter to feed her rabbit.
It's a big part of food literacy. So in the food justice space, I work for an organization by day that gives away millions and millions of pounds of food a year to communities facing hunger. And whenever we give them fresh produce, it'll end up given away in the trash can. I think a big part of it is that when you give somebody arugula, if you give somebody summer squash, if they don't know what to do with it, it's almost like they don't know the value of it. I completely agree. I'm curious, Ariel, is Brandon a vegan as well? So for those who don't know, Brandon is Ariel's husband and is the co-founder of Twisted Plants. You're muted. Take it. Mm-hmm.
He's vegetarian.
He's vegetarian?
Yes. So he went vegetarian after I went vegan because when I decided to, even when I went vegetarian, I decided I wasn't cooking meat in my house anymore. So everybody just kind of had to hop on board with that.
So excuse me, Ariel, you're going in and out. It's hard to hear you.
You said it's hard to hear me?
Yeah. You sound like you're really far away or muted.
Oh, because I had to use my phone today, so it's probably just my phone.
Mm-hmm.
Am I still?
So the original question is one is your co-owner and your husband, Brandon, is he vegan or vegetarian? And how are you bringing your family along on this plant-based journey?
He's a vegetarian, and when I went vegetarian before I went vegan, I stopped cooking meat in the house. So they just kind of had to hop on board with that. He was really supportive of it. He didn't have any problems really giving up the meat at all. And I just, like Rain said, I just try to lead by example. Whatever I eat, they eat.
Okay. So it's still kind of hard to hear you, but just to recap, is that Brandon was vegetarian, and if y'all were going to do this, he'd have to get with the program, and so he did. So I understand that you're bringing the rest of your family along. Jade, are you the only person in your household, or are you and your mom both vegan, or is your family vegan?
Yeah, it's just me. But I guess what I've noticed over the years is that my family is a lot more open to trying new things. I don't know if anybody will become vegetarian. I think my brother has been talking about transitioning to a plant-based diet. My mom eats a lot more plant-based these days, probably because I am back in her house. But it's been just a cool opportunity to be able to educate my family. To everybody else's point about leading by example. Everybody knows I don't eat meat, so they're always curious, like, well, what can we do for you? Like, how can I make this? What do you eat? And so I think it's just opened up a lot of opportunity for conversations. Everybody talks about getting protein and all those things, and I think it's just cool to be able to show my family how to live a plant-based diet. And we even started a garden this year, kind of our quarantine project. And so that's been really nice to be able to have my grandparents next door, and they kind of help out with the garden. My uncle and aunt actually live downstairs, and then I have another aunt who lives down the street. So it's like we're literally creating a community within our family to just eat better, to learn about plant-based dieting. And then the more I learn, the more I'm able to share with them, and the more receptive they are to just keep trying the new things.
So the part that I didn't get to share in the introduction is that there is a true emotion behind eating. And now that I'm a plant-based vegan, I've learned that love for me is associated with eating really good, nourishing, wholesome, whole foods. And so I've started saying that every time you eat, it's an opportunity to nourish your body. So as we're winding down here, do you all want to share kind of your final thoughts or your philosophy on plant-based eating? And also give a plug for your book, for the Midwest Vegan Fest, for Twisted Plants, for your page, Jade. So let's start with you, Jade. Closing thoughts.
I don't know, but I guess I would say that if plant-based dieting is something that you want to do, then just give it a shot. I think a lot of people shy away because they just don't know. To be honest, at least in my experience, it's been a lot easier than I ever anticipated. And I was somebody, I didn't eat a ton of meat, but I ate enough to where when my friend told me to go vegan, I completely just rejected the idea. But there's so much just fun in it. I've loved creating new recipes, and that's what I share a lot on my Instagram page. I've loved the way I've been able to learn the science behind food in order to kind of make it go hand in hand with my fitness journey, and just being able to like demystify all the stigmas or misconceptions about what plant-based diet means. And I think in order for us to continue to expand this in the Black community or just communities of color in general, we have to keep having the conversations. We have to lead by example, and we have to continue to love it. And I think that more people will become more receptive to it. And as long as we can be receptive in our own right, being people that are actively and consistently part of this plant-based community, I think more people will enjoy being part of this community as well.
Right on, Jade. Chef Rain Truth, your final thoughts.
My thing is be gentle with yourself. Take it one day at a time. Join other people who are like-minded. That's a great way so you don't feel alone. It's just being around other people. Find a vegan fest such as the Midwest Vegan Fest, April 17, 2021 at Nicolay High School in Glendale. So yeah, just be gentle with yourself. It's really important. I've had people tell me I'm not vegan enough, and I'm like, you only been vegan a month, but just like be gentle, and that's really my big thing. Be gentle. You can find me if you need help. I am a certified vegan lifestyle health coach. You can find me at The Cultured Vegan on Instagram, Facebook, or you can email me theculturedvegan@gmail.com.
Excellent. Chef Caroline Carter, final thoughts.
Wow. I echo everything that Jade and Chef Rain Truth just said. I would just say for me, it was all about nourishing my soul. It really, really was. And so that's what I want. I want people, if you are, there's so much, and we don't talk about this enough. There's so much depression going around in our world right now. We're dealing with COVID. A lot of us, our world has changed and we don't know what to do. And I'm just saying sometimes, it could be as simple as eating an apple. It really is. Just as simple as eating an apple. Drinking a glass of water. It could begin just like that. I think if you have the desire to change not what you look like on the outside, but how you feel on the inside, and a glass of water, an apple will help you do that. But if you want a little bit more, give Caroline Carter a call. For those of you who don't know, my number is area code 414-324-5596. Anybody wants one of those collard green wraps, let me know. I'm also a personal chef, and I'm weekly meals for people. Those of you now, Raina, you look like you're a busy woman and you don't have time for all that. Mm-hmm. So once a week, you can also call me. On my page, I talk about that too. I talk about exercise. That is also very important. Mm-hmm. It's not about how I look. It is about how I feel. Yeah. So when I exercise, that helps me. It connects me to my soul, to my spirit, to who I am, loving me for who I am right now. So that's what raw vegan, vegetarian food does for me. And so if you need some help with that, check me out on Facebook, Caroline Carter. I call myself the Real Food Doctor. Check me out. Check me out.
Ariel, what are your final thoughts?
I would just say don't be overwhelmed by fancy ingredients and extravagant dishes. Just try to find a community with people who can help support you through your journey. Follow people on Instagram. Look up recipes on Pinterest and YouTube. And just keep trying new things until you find something you like.
Wonderful.
May I say one You reminded me of something, Ariel. So, guys, about 10 years ago, my daughter and I, we did a show called Cooking Raw for Channel 10, Cooking Raw. So, if anybody is looking for some recipes, go to YouTube and just Google and just type in Cooking Raw, Caroline Carter. Lots of recipes out there for you.
Yes. So just to wrap up, we want to be patient with ourselves, especially with all the demands around us. Be mindful, be present, and be patient with ourselves. As Chef Caroline Carter said, look online, try recipes, experiment, fail often, fail quickly, right? Until you find your rhythm. And finally, after you've mastered it, or at least reached a point of comfort, gently bring your family along just to try it. And so when we are healthier, we have more energy to share, and the higher vibration that we're operating under just becomes contagious for the people around us. So again, Jade, Chef Raelynn, Chef Caroline Carter, Ariel, thank you so much for being here with us today. As we agree that food is medicine, I hope that this video goes far and wide and serves as an inspiration for people to want to change their lifestyles and want something different for their health. Please follow them on social media, like and share. I want to send a very special thank you to the Milwaukee Film Festival, Frederick the Medical College for sponsoring the Minority Health Film Festival. If you are watching this today, I encourage you to tune in to the other films being shown through Thursday, September 24th as a part of the Minority Health Film Festival. Again, I am your moderator, your host with the most, Raelynn Andrews, author of the book, Alex McGreen and the Tale of the Mysterious Kale. You can find us at thehealthyfoodmovement.com or on Amazon. And be sure to follow us on social media. Stay blessed and stay healthy. Take care.
Bye.
The 2020 Minority Health Film Festival offers a diverse variety of films and events that we just wouldn't be able to offer in the in-person cinema experience. But I think what really makes it unique is the focus not only on public health issues, but the issues that really concern communities of color. If you're looking for a reason to engage or to try it out, this is the perfect time. Just go to mkefilm.org/MHFF